Well, why is it language and music for life? The first idea was to make a course for musicians, young musicians, to encourage them. And if these young musicians want to make any kind of international career, they will need a foreign language, and particularly English. So that is why we said if they've got music and language, then they will be well equipped for later life as musicians, if they want to become musicians. Music is very important for young people. They can get a lot of enjoyment, not only listening to music, but making music. And many studies show that if you start to play music when you are young, this will help you in your other studies later on. So we think it's important. What is the method we use to improve somebody's language? Here we don't have a specific method, but because we are together for 2 weeks and because we have native or extremely fluent speakers of the target language, we think the great opportunity is for the young people to speak the language. So 70% of our tuition is geared to having the learners listen and speak the language that they are learning. That means that at the end of 2 weeks, particularly with English, because English is essentially the language of the course, most of the teachers teach in English and daily communication is in English. So they get some further practice with teachers, they get some further instruction maybe in grammar where they have difficulties, and they will get further vocabulary. So that by the end of the 2 weeks they are speaking English much better or with more ease than when they arrived. That has been our experience. Lots of speaking by the teacher and particularly by the students. And we try and listen to each student and find out what he or she would benefit from. What is the main advice in terms of motivation for people to start learning English as a foreign language or another foreign language? One of the big motivations is to be obliged to use it. So if a young person, particularly under 10, is in a situation where they are with lots of other young children of similar age, but in, say, an English-speaking background, they don't all have to be native English speakers, but that is a motivation to communicate, to play with someone else in English. So they need to do things together. I think sitting in a classroom with books and listening to a teacher doesn't achieve very much. So they need to be active in some way, and this is very difficult to reproduce in schools. The children who are fluent in English here have mainly gone to English medium schools. How do we manage to recruit so many good and in some cases famous musicians as teachers on this course? Arlette, the director, has contacts, looks around and invites people to teach. Conditions are the same for everybody. I think what motivates these teachers, some of whom are principally performers, is that it is something very different from their daily routine, if you like, as teachers or as performers, and they enjoy having mostly very responsive students. These students are pretty motivated in learning their instruments or improving their singing. So I think they like that environment, they like being with other musicians, and now it's become a kind of extended family, so we meet every summer. How did we find this place? In the first years we had another school, and then that school became far too expensive to use, so we had to look for another place, and we just look around on the internet. There's a lot of competition. Most private boarding schools now do have clients in the summer for summer courses, so it's not easy to find one. So we found it by looking diligently. I think someone also made a recommendation. We came here first in 2009, and we found the situation really very suitable for our needs. What are my best wishes for the next courses? Well, I hope we continue to have the same teachers. I hope we continue to have the same type of young person who is interested in music and who is considering the possibility of a musical career. We would also like the good weather that we've had as well as the regular Welsh weather.